What is going on, everybody? I'm Joshua Thomas, and welcome to the Failroadexpress. We are here to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 and what the Gold Saucer, how big of a role it's going to play in the next part that we get to play. Hopefully, I'm really hoping in 2022. So I got to admit that I'm not as prepared as I normally like to be for these videos. So hope that you will feel free to ask some questions in the chat. I'll be observing that. Also trying something a little different where I am streaming from one computer and, well, I'm using my player on one computer, streaming to YouTube on a different computer to see if that just helps to boost our signal. But anyway, let's just get right into it. So what you're seeing right now is just some highlight clips from the original Final Fantasy VII from 1997. And since we don't have any other kind of footage of the Gold Saucer, I figured I would at least just show this off, and then maybe later on, once we just get into the question and answer and more theorizing stuff, we can do some FF7 remake, show some of that beautiful stuff while we're just talking. So yeah, what you're seeing right now is the Chocobo Bedding. So this is the part of the game where you can bet on the Chocobo races, but you can't actually play in them just yet. So overall, the Gold Saucer is a pretty huge place compared to Midgar and Junon. Perhaps in terms of size in the game, it's not quite as big. I think I counted 16 or 17 different frames of locations that you could go to, but that doesn't include the Chocobo race itself, the roller coaster ride, and the gondola ride that you guys saw in the very beginning of this video if you were tuning in at that point. So 16 frames plus those extra things, and that's also not including that MOG game that you can play. But this is, you're seeing right here, this is where Kate Sith also joins the party, and this is going to be something I think they change a ton, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But what I'll go over right now is kind of the flow in which I went through the Gold Saucer. Just played this a few weeks ago, and so this is the recording that you're seeing there, just the highlights of it. So before you get to the Gold Saucer, Barrett kind of gives a little backstory in North Coral about his history, which is leading up to how he ended up with his gun for a hand. Then you all get on the cable car that leads up to the Gold Saucer. Once you get there, you get to choose one party member to go around the saucer with, and you're kind of like, wait, just one party member? Why not two? And that's because they've got to leave room in the party for Kate Sith. Then a few sequences have to happen before the story can continue. You have to meet Dio, who is the owner of the Gold Saucer and who likes to walk around in a Speedo showing off his muscles. You've got to meet Kate Sith himself and have him join the party. There's also, I believe, an optional scene where you can see some Shinra troops trying to search around for Sephiroth. This is a part that's fun right here. This is the motorcycle highway chase scene that you can play as a video game in the Gold Saucer. And then once you have accomplished getting Kate Sith into your party, and I believe meeting Dio, and the optional Shinra scene, you're then going to end up in the battle arena, where you're going to find a bunch of dead Shinra soldiers along with some other people, and they're all going to have been killed with bullet wounds, and you're like, no way, Barrett couldn't have possibly done this. And then that's what's going to lead you down into Junon Prison, where more story elements happen, and the only way that you're able to get out of Junon Prison is to actually compete in a Chocobo race and win the race. And so you have to get a sponsor, go back up to the Gold Saucer, and compete in races until you win. And then once you win, your situation is kind of like explained to Dio. He kind of forgives you or asks for forgiveness by giving you a buggy that you can then use to cross the desert. And that's all that you do the first time that you encounter the Gold Saucer. And now everything else is purely optional. Like going to the hotel here. You don't have to do that your first time around. The second time going to the Gold Saucer later on in the game, which may or may not happen in Remake Part 2. That might happen in Part 3. It just depends on how far down the road or into the storyline they decide to get. But so this roller coaster ride right here, where you're trying to shoot these different targets, which is another fun mini game. This is also completely optional. You don't have to do this your first time or your second time going to the Gold Saucer. So there's a lot of fun side sort of quests or just mini games that you can do while here. And the Gold Saucer is comprised of 8 different layers if you include the entrance as one of those layers or levels. The other ones, you can see they're going on the right here. You've got that roller coaster that we just saw, this gondola ride that they're on right now. That's another one of the levels you can go to. There's the stage, the performance hall, the battle arena, the haunted hotel, the arcade, and I feel like the Chocobo Racing. And I think that's it. If I skipped one there, just let me know in a comment. So when the party arrives at the Gold Saucer, they're still chasing down Sephiroth. And in the original game, we never encounter Sephiroth in the Gold Saucer. We hear mention of him from the Shinra soldiers and perhaps some other patrons, but we never catch up to him at this point. In the remake, in Remake Part 2, we may catch some glimpses of Sephiroth. Maybe he plays around with us there. Certainly Cloud is still going to be having his episodes where he's either being toyed with by Sephiroth through his memories, or perhaps catching glimpses of the future. So I'm thinking that the Gold Saucer is going to be a great place for them to elaborate on this a little bit. They're definitely going to increase the amount of story that goes on here. And in terms of how much story goes on here compared to, say, Junon or the Chocobo Ranch or Costa del Sol. The Chocobo Ranch, you simply go to the ranch, find out that you need to catch a Chocobo, and that's really all that you have to do there. You just got to buy the Chocolure materia, and then you're off. You technically don't have to go there, and it becomes a side quest later on in the game. In Junon, essentially, all you have to do the first time going to Junon is participate in the parade and a little performance for Rufus at the end. Everything else that you do in Junon is completely optional as well. Now, if you go into all the shops and all the different buildings, you can spend a lot of time there. I think my first run through in Junon, I probably spent a good 50 minutes going through there and just trying to check out all the different shops and find all the hidden items that I could. Let's see, Costa del Sol, literally, you just arrive there, you confront Hojo, and once again, everything else is optional. You then leave once you've confronted Hojo, because Hojo kind of hints to you that Sephiroth has moved on, or that he is heading towards the Gold Saucer. And then in North Coral, you just learn, a few people cuss out Barrett, and the party is surprised that Barrett doesn't retort. He kind of just gives in to their retorts, and I think one of them even punches him. So the party's really surprised there. But then you get to the Gold Saucer, and there's a lot to do there, and there are a lot of story elements that happen there. So including Sephiroth more, like they've done in Part 1, is definitely something I can see. But the question is going to be, do you think that they're going to actually have a physical version of Sephiroth there, kind of like they do on the boat that leads to Costa del Sol? So maybe they will fight Jin over there, but you have just a brief encounter with Sephiroth. I'm not sure whether they will have us encounter a physical form of Sephiroth or one of the mental forms, or the ethereal form, the one from the live stream. But either way, the party will definitely know a ton about him at this time. So where this could happen, at which one of the levels on the Gold Saucer, that's another question too. And then once again, Kate Sith. Kate Sith is an extremely important part of the Gold Saucer. You can't leave there until you've got him in your party, otherwise you're just going to be wandering around. But he's also got the weakest reason for joining the party too, and it's almost kind of like this 1990s campiness that is the reason that he joins. He's like, oh hey, I just read you guys a fortune and it was really interesting, and I just got to follow you guys and see how this fortune plays out, because I've never seen anyone get this specific fortune before. And then Cloud is just kind of like, I don't know about this, and then he joins you, and that's how he joins the party in the beginning. They're definitely, I think they're going to upplay this a lot in the next one. Here you can see this scene with the Shinra soldiers. I can't remember if this scene's optional or not, but you're going to see them later on too. So yeah, here we go. Cloud says, what is this? What you pursue will be yours, but you will lose something in the process. I don't know if this is good or bad. This is the first time I've ever gotten something like this. Then shall we? And so Cloud's like, what are you talking about? Oh no, Aerith. Being a fortune teller, this is interesting. I gotta see how this turns out. I'll never be able to relax, so I'm going with you. What are we gonna do, Cloud? I'm coming with you no matter what you say. And then, you see Cloud like, hey. So that's the loosest reason for any of these characters joining the party whatsoever. I think in this remake part 2, Cloud is just not going to let this cat creature riding on top of a Mog join the party. He's going to basically tell him no. He's going to tell him to shove off, like, you just read my fortune and you just want to join our party and go along, and we get into fights. Are you going to help us kill people? And Kate's just like, yeah man, I'm gonna help you guys out. We're gonna murder people together. So he's gonna blow them off. He's not gonna let them join. They may even let you have 3 party members as opposed to the 2 like in the original. And we may see Kate Sith, where the other events are still going to happen similarly, where he might have to try and dodge around some Shinra troops as time goes on. Then, as we get to the battle arena, after we have triggered all the necessary story events, and we find all these dead people, I wonder if there's going to be blood in this area, who knows. Then, Dio's going to encounter us with his Gold Saucer security force, and he's going to, immediately accuse us of being the ones who killed these people, And then Kate Sith is going to see this opportunity and try to jump in with us. And at that moment, he's going to kind of get stuck in with us, be like, hey, no, these guys didn't murder all these people. And so Dio's going to be like, are you with these people? Seize all of them, seize all of these people and throw them into the prison. And then even when we do get into Junon prison, I could see the party still being resistant to Kate Sith. It's going to take something more than Kate Sith reading a fortune to Cloud and saying, hey, I really want to follow you guys and see how this fortune plays out. So Kate Sith is going to do something, some kind of redeeming quality. And I think it's going to have something to do with, once they finish with Barrett's storyline with Dyne and going through that history, I think it's going to be harder to get back up to the Gold Saucer to do the Chocobo race than just going and talking to kind of like the leader of the prison and having, just what a coincidence, one of the managers of the Chocobo races just shows up and is like, yeah, I'll be your manager. So I think this is going to be a golden moment for Kate Sith to pull some weight around the Gold Saucer, and whether it's just using his little cat form, hopping off of the Mog to maybe sneak into the Chocobo Racing area and convince someone to come down and be our manager for the Chocobo race. Who knows? But I think in some way Kate Sith is going to do something that makes the party trust him and makes the party say, okay, you're helping us out here. You're proving to us that you are someone with a set of skills that would be useful to us in our journey. So if you want to join us that badly at this point, and you've helped us out this much, we'll let you tag along with us. But once again, I think whatever that something is, I think they are going to encounter that in Junon prison. So Kate Sith somehow is going to help them out in the prison when they are stuck, when they can't figure out how to get out. But once again, we're still definitely going to be involved in a Chocobo race, and we're going to have to figure out how to win that Chocobo race in order to win our freedom and the party's freedom, and maybe even still get a buggy, or maybe they just give us a free ride out of there. I can't imagine what the open world will be like, or what our wide hallway may be like if it's not open world, if we're riding a buggy through the desert. So I think it would be cool if they figure out a way to implement a vehicle for us to drive, but that may take away some of the adventure elements of it. So it might just be like, oh, you guys need to get beyond the desert? Okay, we will take you in one of our carts beyond the desert, and we'll drop you off near Gungaga or something like that. And then it's going to be up to you to go and maybe explore that part of the open world. And it will be maybe blocked off by the desert so that you can't get back up to North Corel. Not sure. Hey everybody, see I've got like 3 or 5 people watching right now, so thank you for joining us. Here's a question for you. I've heard, we in America pronounce Kate Sith as Kate Sith, but I've heard that in Japan they pronounce it Ketchith or Ketchi, something like that. I've heard it from some of the other streamers. So what do you guys think they're going to do for the English version of the game? I think Kate Sith is simply going to be Kate Sith. And the reason is, in what I know of the Japanese alphabet, in some cases they have to spell certain names a little differently, and even if they try to spell them the same, the way that they pronounce those names in Japan is going to be a little different too. And especially people whose names have L in them, like Marlene. The spelling for Marlene in Japan is Marine. And if you know more about Japanese culture than I do, maybe you can tell me whether, when they read the word Marine, they just know, oh, this American name or this English name has an L in it, so I'll pronounce the L. I'm a little ignorant in that area. So yeah, is it going to be Kate Sith or Ket Sheep? Based on the fact that so far every single other character their name has been pronounced almost phonetically. I think in the Japanese version, maybe they're also call him Kate Sith, or maybe they'll call him Ket Sheep. But in the English translation, whoever the actor is that plays him, and everyone else who reacts to him, they're going to call him by the English way of saying it, Kate Sith. So yeah, just leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Kate Sith's name. I know he's probably one of the least favorite characters in the original, so they definitely have to. They pretty much have to redeem Kate Sith from the very get-go, because of all the characters who have yet to join the party, including playable characters such as Red 13. We haven't gotten to play as Red yet. Kate Sith is kind of like the low man on the totem pole. But and then there's also the question of, is he going to ride on top of the fat Moogle, or is he just going to be a cat running around like he was in Remake Part 1, where we only saw the cat robot portion of him running up to witness the plate fall? I think it'll be interesting. They found ways to implement Hell House. They did an absolutely outstanding job on the Wall Market storyline. So if they can do that and add in some of these other crazy looking enemies, I think that they can. I think they can figure out how to get him to ride the Moogle and somehow make it work. But if they don't, then what do you guys think he's going to contribute to the party in terms of battle? We've seen, I have had a chance to play the Remake DLC, the Yuffie DLC, so spoiler warnings for that, and of course for everything else, Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake. We could get into all that. But, so we saw how Sonon and Yuffie used synergy. So a lot of people are theorizing that maybe Kate Sith will only be used as synergy, or perhaps he will have certain moves that each party member is able to do with him. So maybe not necessarily synergy, but maybe Red 13 has a move where you just activate it and Kate Sith hops into battle, hops on the back of Red 13 and helps him with some kind of combo attack. Or maybe he jumps up with Aerith and helps to buff the party in some way. But we're kind of getting sidetracked on Kate Sith. I know I kind of went off on that tangent, but let me know what you think. Getting into the mini games though, what mini games do you think also are going to translate from the original to the Remake Part 2? So we see Mog here, which is the silliest game. All you've got to do with this one is feed him a certain number of nuts and he learns to fly, like you see here. And then you do it again. You feed him too little, he is not able to fly. You feed him too much, he gets overfilled. But this is also the easiest way that you can earn a lot of gold saucer points. I think they're called GP, so gold saucer points or coins, something like that. And that is the currency that you can spend in the gold saucer. So do you think they will? I think that they will transfer this over to the Remake. We're going to have, it's going to be hard for us in the beginning because we are essentially going to be poor. in comparison to later on in the game when we have fought tougher enemies, when we have gained a much larger purse of money and been able to go on side quests, and it's much easier for us to gain GP. But GP is extremely hard to get. Here's the fighting game. You know, it's going to be interesting. Are they going to have something like this? I could see them improving upon all of these little mini games that they have in the Gold Saucer, including this one, to make it less of a guesswork. The same with this Super Dunk, whether it's even there or not. I think they could do it for nostalgic purposes, you know, so people will be like, they included the basketball game in the Gold Saucer remake? Oh man. Because in the original, oh man, that basketball game is stupid. You basically just have to guess on how long you need to hold down a button and shoot it, and if you figure it out, yay, you can kind of keep mimicking that. But if not, I could see them making that basketball game kind of like the darts throwing game in Part 1 in the Seventh Heaven. So you'll have to, you know, have your target reticle, and it's going to be kind of waving, and you've got to try to edge it over to the hoop in just the right area, and then maybe hold down a power-up button to power up your throw. They could do that. They could absolutely improve upon that a lot more. The motorcycle race, it would be awesome if they had the motorcycle or the motorcycle pursuit in there, except this time it wouldn't have to be in Midgard. They could literally, you know, maybe you could choose levels in the motorcycle race. Maybe you can, you know, choose an urban environment, or maybe you can choose a mountainous environment, and maybe depending on the environment you choose, that's a different set of enemies that you would have to fight. Like, oh, the urban environment, hey, you're fighting other people on motorcycles, and then in the, you know, the forest or the mountain environment, you're fighting animals that are running alongside you, or flying drakes or something. There's so much room that they have to improve upon this, maybe even giving more movesets. And I don't know that they would give you the ability to control other players, like, hey, maybe Tifa wants to play the motorcycle game, or hey, maybe Barrett wants to play the motorcycle game. So I don't know about that. Just like in the Remake's Wall Market, they have a battle arena in the Gold Saucer, and the battle arena is in the original. You don't really get a chance to fight in the battle arena your first time going to the Gold Saucer. Your second time going to the Gold Saucer, later on in the game, it is open, because, you know, I guess they've restaffed everyone who died from your first time going there. Yeah, there's the scene where everyone's dead, and Dio is accusing them of murder, and they run away into the battle arena. So later on, you actually get to fight in this arena very similarly to how you fight in the Wall Market. If they decide to do what they did in the Gold Saucer version, in the original version though, you're going to encounter certain types of buffs and nerfs. So the further on into the rounds in the arena that you get, this roulette wheel, not a roulette wheel, this slot machine reel is going to spin and give you some kind of random nerf. It might turn you into a frog, it might miniaturize you, it might half your HP or MP. But I think they could implement something similar to that. And at the same time, just like they did in the Battle Simulator, in the Shinra building, and in Wall Market, maybe you can choose whether it's a one-person fight, or a two-person fight, or a three-person fight. And by this time, you're going to have 7 of your out of the 9 party members there. So maybe you'll get to fight there. I imagine they want to incorporate some kind of battle arena So the Gold Saucer would be the perfect area to do that as well. As far as the Chocobo Racing goes and the Chocobo Bedding, I don't know if they will have Chocobo Bedding like they did in the original. Chocobo Bedding in the original is kind of, it's almost a crapshoot. Like, you can look at the stats that each of the chocobos in the race has, but its stats doesn't necessarily mean, you know, oh, this has the highest stamina and the highest speed, this guy's gonna win. Well, not necessarily, because the chocobo's personality and the rider's personality also matter. So, hey guys, I see some more people just joined. Thanks for joining. Hope you guys will leave a comment and, you know, any thoughts that you have on the Gold Saucer and what we're talking about, be sure and leave them in a comment. But we're talking about the Chocobo Racing and betting on the Chocobos. So, you know, just like gambling at a Vegas casino, you've got to choose from this grid. Like, I think, you know, number 1 and Chocobo number 1 and Chocobo number 5 are going to come in first and second. And you can choose that. You can choose more than 1 up to 3. And I think you have to pay. You have to pay in guild. You don't have to pay in GP. So that one you might be able to indulge in more. Yeah, here's the betting. So here's just the Chocobo Arena where you can sign up for bets. So yeah, I want to do it. Yeah, so you've got like 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. So those are the different chocobos you can choose from, and you can see here. I'm scrolling through the different numbered chocobos. Then it skips to the race, and yeah, you just have to basically watch the race to see who wins. And just like gambling, you might be right, you might be wrong. And then the Chocobo Arena, or the Chocobo racetrack itself too. I mean, they created a pretty trippy arena for the original. And you've seen they've only expanded everything. Like, they took nothing from the original game and said, you know what, we're going to make this smaller. No, they blew everything up. So I can't wait to see. Like, this is going to be some kind of like crazy looking Mario Kart stuff. Like, if you've played the most recent Mario Kart, there are some tracks that represent multiple different games, like Animal Crossing or F-Zero or The Legend of Zelda. So imagine like all of that combined into one just crazy track where you go through a gate and all of a sudden you're in a sci-fi area. I could see them definitely doing that with the Chocobo Racing in the Gold Saucer in Remake Part 2. I could also see having, you know, there's an extended part of the track that you guys just saw that you don't have access to it, I don't think, when you first travel to the saucer. You gain access to that when you return to the saucer, and when you're able to go back there after you get the high wind, and you can just do all the side quests. So there's that. Chocobo Racing. What was I going to say about Chocobo Racing? It slipped my mind now. You'll be able to perhaps win stuff, but the first thing you're going to win is, you know, your freedom. The next thing up, we only briefly show the entertainment stage, but a lot of people are theorizing that Jesse could be at the Gold Saucer, because no one is quite sure what kind of portal they stepped through at the end of Remake Part 1. The portal that they went through, and of course the endings that we see at the end of Remake Part 1 and at the end of the Yuffie DLC, give us lots of hints that this is definitely going to be different. But the big question is here, and I personally do believe that we are dealing with multiple realities. So there's the Zack reality and the Cloud reality. So there is the Beagle reality and the, oh god, what's the other dog called? There's the Beagle reality and then the other reality, the dog on the chip bag, the stamp. Terrier, that's what it is, the Terrier reality. So Zack is in the Terrier reality, and Cloud and the rest of the gang are in the Beagle reality. So when they step through this portal, they've defeated fate. I think they are still in their own reality, and for all intents and purposes, every hint that we have says that Jessie is dead. We see that Biggs is alive, and we see her glove on the table next to him, but the glove could have just been found in the rubble, or I don't even want to talk about it, but maybe they pulled the glove off of her dead hand and just kind of left it there as a memento or something for Biggs when he wakes up. But once again, Biggs might be alive in the Terrier reality, in Zack's reality. Regardless, let's say that Jessie is going to appear in the Gold Saucer. I don't think she's going to appear in the main party's reality. If Zack makes it to the Gold Saucer, if we get that kind of content, I could see her being perhaps in Zack's reality. It's all up in the air. So if you guys want to leave a comment, let me know what you think. In terms of, is Jessie going to be alive in either reality, or is she just dead? Just let me know in a comment. We can discuss that further. Or, if she is alive, if she's alive in the party timeline, there's definitely going to be some emotional stuff going on. But I can't see that happening, because then we're dealing with changing the past of the reality that they are currently in. So there's this other possibility, though, that they have stepped through this portal and ended up in the Terrier timeline. In which case, yeah, Jessie could still be alive, but whose glove is that, sitting next to Biggs if Jessie has been at the Gold Saucer the entire time? Yeah, it kind of just raises more questions, at least for me. But it'll be cool regardless, whether they have any kind of stage play going on whatsoever. Maybe we're going to see Jessie's understudy. Maybe maybe they're building us up hoping that we're going to see Jessie there, and then we get there and we meet the people who knew Jessie, and we meet her understudy, the girl who ended up getting to be the princess in the stage play. And it's going to be kind of an emotional thing, because our party members are going to believe her to be dead, and most likely she is going to be dead. I think you guys have probably seen enough of this reel. Why don't I hop over to... Let's show you guys some... Let's show you guys some beautiful 1080p full HD stuff here. So... But we'll continue talking about the Gold Saucer. I'm just giving you guys something else to look at instead of the same 9-minute loop. And let me know if you guys just want me to turn it back over to the original FF7 Gold Saucer footage. But let's see. What's left to talk about? We've got the roller coaster, the haunted house, and then the gondola ride. I could see us being able to do that, but at the same time, later on, when you return to the Gold Saucer for a second time, you essentially go on, spoiler alerts, you go on a date with someone from your party. In the original, you get to go on a date with the two most likely characters you either go on a date with are Aerith and or Tifa. But depending on how you treat the other characters, it's also been proven that you can go on a date with Barrett. Like if you treat all the ladies in the party horribly, you end up with Barrett in the gondola ride. And then I believe there's also a possibility that you can have Yuffie as well. And I assume it's only Yuffie if you're just horrible to Barrett, Tifa, and Aerith. But regardless, I wonder if you'll be able to go on the gondola ride, and I imagine so, because they're going to want you to be able to experience it, especially if Part 2 ends when your party gets to Nibelheim and you have to confront what's going on in Nibelheim and the Mount Nibel reactor. Hey, here's some full HD footage. So this is what the motorcycle game could look like at the Gold Saucer. So yeah, like I said, this could be the urban environment for the Gold Saucer, and if they really play it up, you could get some alternate tracks to be on, and maybe you'll even have a boss battle at the end of the motorcycle game. That would be pretty cool too. But yeah, the gondola ride, I could see them putting the roller coaster ride back in there too. I can only imagine the crazy stuff they could come up with this roller coaster ride. Maybe all 3 characters are riding in there with, like, have you ever been on carnival rides, or not carnival rides, but rides at like Universal Studios, say, where you actually get to have a little laser gun in your hands riding along this track, shooting different targets and getting points as you go along in the ride, and you try to get more points than the other people who are on the ride. So I wonder if you'll be able to have your entire party ride the roller coaster ride, and maybe either get to choose who you control, who has the gun, or maybe you're competing against them. Maybe you're competing against other people who are also riding the ride, and maybe there's some kind of grand prize for beating a score. Like in Remake Part 1, you play darts. If you become number 1 at darts, Wedge gives you a luck up materia. So I think we've gotten, let's see, and then there's the haunted house. I don't know if they will incorporate a lot of storyline stuff, or if they will just have it be like little, side tidbits, like, hey, there's the shop at the haunted house or the haunted inn. But this could also be kind of one of those horror moments where maybe something goes a little wrong, kind of like in the VR projector in the Shinra building, where all of a sudden Cloud witnesses Barrett and Tifa dying at the hands of Sephiroth. So perhaps some of the special effects there go a little haywire, and Sephiroth toys with Cloud there as well. It could be a place where we confront Sephiroth at some point, and maybe he gets away somehow. But I think I digress there. Either way, we're going to have, basically in closing, we're going to have a ton of stuff to do at the Gold Saucer. Hey, there's Kate Sith. We're going to have a ton of stuff to do with the Gold Saucer, and I could see us spending even more time there than we spend in Chapter 14 of Remake Part 1, where we have the majority of our side quests that we can go on. The Gold Saucer could end up being a side quest area, maybe? I don't know. But either way, such an important area, and one of those areas where people are going to be sitting on the edges of their seats to learn what they do with it. So when the next trailers come out, hopefully at the end of this year, it's almost guaranteed they're going to have some footage of the Gold Saucer in there. And I wish I'd put it in the original FF7 gold saucer clips, but being able to see the gold saucer from far away on the world map, or in the open world. If you've ever played Horizon Zero Dawn, which the creators take influence from, they said they've enjoyed the game, you can see towers off in the distance, and when you see those towers off in the distance, you can walk to them. It might take a while, but you can walk to them. So imagine this towering structure just over the horizon. It's going to look beautiful. You can see it on the mini-map, or on the world map in the original, after you leave Costa del Sol. Now there's a river that you can't cross yet, but you can see it just looming over the distance. You can't see the bottom of it because it's in the desert, but I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. So yeah, thank you guys for coming and enjoying this with me. We've been talking about the gold saucer and what we think is going to happen in Remake Part 2. We've been going for about 50 minutes here, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to give me a comment. And yeah, other than that, just enjoy a little bit of this footage as I tell you guys that we've got a lot more Final Fantasy VII Remake oriented videos coming up, along with more live streams. Some of the information that I gather and some of the theories that I craft come from this right here, the original strategy guide, which I want to do a video on the pacing of the remake and how it pertains to the strategy guide, because I think we can get a good idea of how big of a story element Midgar is alone compared to the rest of the game. And I think you'll be pretty surprised at that, but I don't think I'll be able to do a live stream with it unless I make some kind of companion video to go with it, like, hey, watch this first and then join me on the live stream for discussion about it. But yeah, if you've got anything you'd love to see me discuss about FF7 Remake in a future live stream, let me know. And be sure to check out more of our video game videos and board game videos. We've got years of board game videos on here, so hope you will check some of those out. And thank you for joining me on the Failroadexpress. Like and subscribe. Check you next time.